Welcome back to slope-intercept form of a line. This is Mrs. Jones, and let's get moving. This is part 4. Write an equation in slope-intercept form from 2 points or a point and the slope. This one's a little longer because there's different situations. Our first one is to write an equation in slope-intercept form when we know the y-intercept and another point. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate the slope from the 2 points using the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Next, since one of the points is the y-intercept, we can just get b right from that. B is the y-coordinate of the point that has 0 as its x-coordinate. And then you can just substitute those values into the equation. So let's look at an example. What is the equation of the line between negative 4, 3 and 0, 1? Well, negative 0, 1, that's going to be our y-intercept, right? So let's remember that. First thing we're going to do is calculate the slope. We're going to use our y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we get 1 minus 3 over 0 minus a negative 4. And that is negative 2/4, which we all know we can simplify. So m is negative 1/2. B is the y component of the y-intercept, so that's going to be 1. So the equation for this line is going to be y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. Let's look at another one. What is the equation of the line going through 0, negative 3, and negative 1, 0? First, we're going to look at the slope, and we're going to calculate it with our handy-dandy formula. So we have 0 minus a negative 3 over negative 1 minus 0, which is 3 over negative 1, which is just negative 3. Now, b is the y component of the y-intercept. So that's the point that has 0 as its x. So our b here is going to be negative 3. So we know slope, we know b, so we can just plug that into our equation. Y is equal to negative 3x minus 3. All right, let's do some practice problems. Here is the first one. What is the line that goes through the points 1, 2, and 0, 5? Pause the video, come up with the equation, come back and see if you're right. All right, so first thing we're going to do is calculate the slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we get 5 minus 2 over 0 minus 1, which is 3 over negative 1, which is just negative 3. Next, we want to find b. B is the y coordinate of the y-intercept, so that's going to be 5. So our equation is y equals negative 3x plus 5. All right, one more practice problem with this type. What is the equation of the line through the points 3, 5 and 0, negative 5? Pause the video, do it yourself, come back and see if you're right. Okay, so let's see. Slope is going to be negative 5 minus 5 over 0 minus 3, which is negative 10 over negative 3, which is just 10/3. B is the y-coordinate of the point that has an x-coordinate of 0, so b here is negative 5. So our equation is y equals 10/3 x minus 5. Okay, so now we want to be able to write the equation in slope-intercept form using 2 points where one of them is not the y-intercept. So how are we going to do this? Same way, we're going to first calculate the slope from the 2 points. And then, if neither point is the y-intercept, we're going to pick one of those points, and we're going to substitute it into the equation for x and y and solve for b. And then that's going to give us our equation. So let's look at how this works. What is the equation that goes through the line going through the points 4, -5 and -2, -2? Well, step 1, let's find the slope. Slope is -2 minus a -5 over -2 minus 4. So that's 3 over -6, which is -1/2. So now we know that our equation is going to look like y equals -1/2 x plus b. And we're going to use one of our points here to plug into this equation to solve for b. So we're going to solve for b when x is 4 and y is -5. That's our first point. X is 4, y is -5. So I'm going to rewrite the equation here, substituting 4 for x, -5 for y. I'm going to simplify. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so this becomes -2. I'm going to add 2 to both sides, and I'm going to get b is -3. So now I know what m is, and I know what b is. So the equation of this line is going to be y equals 1/2 x minus 3. Let's look at another example. What is the equation of the line that goes through 2, 0 and 3, 3? Step 1, calculate the slope with our formula. We have 3 minus 0 over 3 minus 2, which is 3 over 1, which is just 3. So don't get caught here and say, oh, look, 2, 0, we have the y-intercept. That's not the y-intercept. That's the x-intercept. So that's not going to help us out trying to find b. So we are going to take m and substitute it into the equation of a line. So we have y equals 3x plus b. And now we're going to substitute that first point in and solve for b. So what is b when x is 2 and y is 0? So we have 0 equals 3 times 2 plus b, which is 0 equals 6 plus b. We subtract 6 from both sides, and we get b is -6. So our equation is going to be y equals 3x minus 6. Okay, now we're going to try some practice problems. See if you can find this equation. Pause the video, come back when you're done, and see if you're right. Okay, so step 1, find the slope. And we find out that our slope is -3 over -3, which is just 1. So we're going to take one of these points and solve it into y equals x plus b. We're going to use the first point, 1 and -1. You can use -2, -4. You'll get the same value for b. So when I substitute in 1 and -1, I get b is -2. So my equation here is y equals x minus 2. Let's try one more. What is the equation of the line through the points -1, 5 and -3, -5? First, find the slope. And the slope here is 5. Next, substitute one of the points in. So -1 for x and 5 for y. And solve for b. So we get 5 is 5 times -1 plus b. 5 is -5 plus b. We're going to add 5 to both sides and get b equals 10. So the equation here is y equals 5x plus 10. Okay, so one more scenario here. Write an equation in slope-intercept form if you're given a point and the slope. So we already have the slope, so we're going to stick that into the equation for m. And then we're going to do just what we did in the previous scenario, is we're going to use one of the given points, or the only given point in this case, to solve for b. And then we're going to have our equation. So let's look at how this works. What is the equation of the line that goes through the point 4, -4 and has a slope of m equals -2? Well, we're going to substitute -2 in for m in our equation. So we have y equals -2x plus b. We need to figure out what b is. So we have a point, so we know that when x is 4, y is -4. So we're going to substitute that in. So we get -4 equals -2 times 4 plus b. And when we solve for b, we get b equals 4. So the equation of this line is y equals -2x plus 4. Let's look at another example. What is the equation of the line going through the point -5, -5 with slope 8/5? There's a bunch of turkeys walking by my window. Okay, so we have the slope. So we're going to substitute that into our equation. So we have y equals 8/5 x plus b. And then we are going to substitute in the point -5, -5 and solve for b. And when we do that, we get b is 3. So the solution here is y equals 8/5 x plus 3. All right, so now you're going to try this. Pause the video, solve it, come back and see if you're right. All right, so how do we find the equation of this line? First, we substitute the slope into the equation, and then we substitute the point in and solve for b. And when we do that, we get b is equal to -1. So our equation is y is -2x minus 1. Let's try one more. Pause the video, come up with the equation, come back and see if you're right. So here we have the line through the point 5,1 with slope 6/5. So we're going to substitute 6/5 in for slope, and then we're going to substitute 5 for x and 1 for y, and solve for b. And when we do that, we get b is -5. So our equation is y is equal to 6/5 x minus 5. Now it is time to move on, if you understood this, to the practice problems. Otherwise, go back and watch it again. Have a great day.